according to one's financial position. Everyone should observe the different ceremonies and celebrations of the Lord by all means. Then, performing devotional service in Kartik. One of the most important of these ceremonial functions is called Urja Vrata. Urja Vrata is observed in the month of Kartik, October, November. Especially in Vrindavan, there's a specific program for temple worship of the Lord in his Damodara form. Damodara refers to Krishna as being bound with rope by his mother, Yashoda. It is said that just as Lord Damodar is very dear to his devotees, so the month known as Damodar, or Kartik, is also very dear to them. The execution of devotional service during Urja Vrata in the month of Kartik is especially recommended to be performed at Mathura. This system is still followed by many devotees. They go to Mathura or Vrindavan and stay there during the month of Kartik, specifically to perform devotional service during this period. In the Padma Purana it is said, the Lord may offer liberation or material happiness to a devotee, but after some devotional service has been executed, particularly in Mathura during the month of Kartik, the devotees want only to attain pure devotional service unto the Lord. The purport is that the Lord does not award devotional service to ordinary persons who are not serious about it. But even such unserious persons who execute devotional service according to the regulative principles during the month of Kartik and within the jurisdiction of Mathura in India are very easily awarded the Lord's personal service. So that's the discussion. Srila Prabhupada one year went to Vrindavan, announced that he would be going there and giving classes on the Nectar of Devotion, which had been fairly recently published, that he would be giving lectures at the Radha Damodar temple. And somehow I thought that he'd be speaking on the sort of revolutionary nectarian information that had not been available to us before the Nectar of Devotion was published. But in fact, Srila Prabhupada began from the very beginning of the book and explained the science of devotional service in practical form, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami. He didn't jump to the more advanced sections, and for that matter, he never even got to the more advanced sections. During that month, he spoke, what shall we say, patiently and in sufficient detail. And those were the lectures that he gave at the Radha Damodar temple, which when we look back and hear them again are full of deep understanding and practical understanding also. Srila Prabhupada gave us only a few instructions about what we should do during Kartik month. One, he said during Chaturmasya, he didn't make a big issue of it, but he gave the instruction that we should observe 4 fasts. During the first month of Chaturmasya, no spinach or shak. During the second month, no yogurt. During the third month, no milk. And during the last month, no urd dal. devotees from America and Europe may think, no Urdal, that's like hardly a fast at all. Yogurt, milk, that's something, spinach. But of course in South India, Urdal is the mainstay of the diet. Idli, dosha, and so on are all based on Urdal. So fasting from Urdal is serious business. In any case, these are the 4 fasts, not very difficult. As Srila Prabhupada, for Ekadasi, he just required that we fast from grains and beans, which is not hard to do for a day. And for Kartik, he requested that we follow these 4, for these Chaturmasya, that we follow these 4 vows of fasting. Apart from that, one can do extra devotional service during this month. It's said, special ceremonies or any extra devotional service. Sometimes we saw that devotees would undergo they'd grow their beards for Kartik, not shave and so on. And Prabhupada dismissed it as nonsense. He saw one devotee who'd grown a beard for Kartik. Prabhupada, the devotee explained it was for Chaturmasya. Prabhupada said Chaturmes. Chaturmes. There's a system of quite severe austerities that one may undertake, and but just to grow your beard without doing all of that, Prabhupada considered nonsense. The other thing that Prabhupada asked us to do, which we do in all of our ISKCON temples, is to sing the Damodara Ashtakam, the 8 prayers to Lord Damodar, recounting his pastimes of being bound by Yashoda Mai, and so on. So that's a standard program, and along with the kirtan, there's offering of lamps to the Lord. And that's our standard basic Kartik program. And devotees undergo vows. I mentioned the other day that one of my vows is not to read any news during the month of Kartik. No news sites, no newspapers. I'm not very inclined to the news anyway, but that's a simple vow. Something that, if you have something that you'd like to do to increase your devotional service, do some extra service for the Lord, assist in some extra temple activities, distribute more books, whatever your service may be, to increase that during this month is very nice, or to add more during this month is very nice. In some of the temples, in Vrindavan temple, they've added singing of Gopika Gita as a part of their Kartik program. But Prabhupada didn't introduce this. He didn't ask us to do that. And in Mayapur they sing, what is it that... prayers about the temples of Vrindavan and their deities. They sing that in Mayapur during Kartik month. Prabhupada didn't ask us to do that either. It was Hare Krishna and Damodara Ashtakam. And the purpose is to increase our devotion to Krishna. Prabhupada, in the Shastras, different statements are made about the benefits of performing devotional service during Kartik. Prabhupada said these are like a sale. When a store during Christmas or Ramadan or sometime, they'll hold a big sale. And the purpose is to attract new customers. But Prabhupada said those who are already customers, they'll buy there anyway. So the devotees will serve Krishna under any circumstances. But the month of Kartik offers some incentive to newcomers or to older devotees to begin or continue, begin or increase devotional service. Any questions on this topic?
Question regarding the beginning, the date. I just actually heard someone says, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to start from this Ekadashi before, from the Ekadashi before until the Ekadashi, the last Ekadashi.
There are two ways. There are different ways of calculating the months. Some calculate from the Ekadasi, some calculate from the new moon, some calculate from the full moon. Our general policy is to calculate from the full moon. So actually, the beginning would be tomorrow by that calculation. Or today, let's see, full moon is today? So then the month actually begins tomorrow from that point of view. Correct? Yeah. Pratipat and then Dvitiya, Tritiya, like that, Chaturtha. That's the usual counting of the months. I don't recall seeing a statement from Prabhupada about beginning Kartik on the Ekadashi. You have a reference?
I looked at it and I couldn't find it.
Couldn't find it? I'm not aware of it either. Prabhupada had one year Pradyumna start doing an ISKCON calendar. There wasn't a calendar for ISKCON of holy days, but he asked Pradyumna to translate basically the Navadip Panjika, which is the calendar that the Gaudiya Math follows in Bengal. And so Pradyumna did that, and then thereafter, every year we had all the dates. At some point later, this ISKCON calendar program was introduced, which makes the calculations more precise and more complicated to follow. You can follow Ekadasi one day in Berlin and then follow it the next day in New York and drive yourself crazy with all of that. And there's a science to it, so I won't say anything about it, but in Prabhupada's time we just followed whatever was the time in Mayapur, that's what we followed. And from that time it was always the dates, the months started this way. It went from the first to the Purnima. Anything else?
Can I ask a question not concerning the topic?
No? Yes.
What kind of vow is recommended or usual to perform in this time?
You can increase your reading, you can increase your chanting, you can chant better, you can increase your service to the deity, you can have more kirtan, you can distribute more books. We can reduce sense gratification. One can eat less or eat more plainly. One devotee told me her vow was was it she or he, I forget, to avoid blaspheming, criticizing devotees during the month of Kartik, a task that they found very difficult. You know, when you get down to it, not to say anything critical. Well, you get to learn how critical we are, how easily we say things, criticizing the Vaishnavas. So that must have been an enlightening project. I don't know of any particular prescriptions. Prabhupada didn't give any. But in general, on all of these days, we reduce material activities, eating, sleeping, so on, and increase devotional service. And Prabhupada didn't push for anything very radical or extreme. But one can do these things. Anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, Jai Srila Prabhupada. I worship at home a Gopal deity, and how can I use the months of Kartik to become more assistant of Mother Yashoda and in the right mood?
To be more?
An assistant of Mother Yashoda. Also I understood it that when we worship Gopal that we try to become
an assistant of Mother Yashoda.
Also maybe I understood it wrong.
Well, our assistance in the beginning stage is to assist the spiritual master in serving the Lord. To be an assistant of Mother Yashoda is no small aspiration. But our worship in general is in the mood of respectful worship. We shouldn't imagine something that now, I'll help Yashoda Mai, put Krishna to bed, I'll help with this, with that. I don't know of any injunction for doing that. But by the order of the spiritual master, we are given the opportunity to perform all these services. In an informal or general way, we're all assisting, but we don't want to imagine anything. Just like this Tulsi prayer, it's actually quite a high prayer. Please make me an associate of the cowherd damsels. I'm told that it's so high that in Gaudiya Math they don't chant it. But it's not, now I'm serving in the Kunjas of Vrindavan, now I'm helping Lalita and Vishaka, now I'm doing that. No. We ask for the privilege of being able to do something. So that comes, and what that something is and how to do that will come in the advanced stage automatically. But we can try and serve the deity with love and devotion. And we can remember the deity's pastimes of being bound with a rope and the whole story. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
One
can chant particular prayers during Kartik, one can learn verses, one can learn chapters, one can recite verses and chapters. All of these things are available. Yes.
Concerning this question, I remember this statement here of Srila Prabhupada, and maybe you could elaborate on that. It's to 10.9.3, and there's a description of Mother Yashoda when she was pulling when she was making the butter. And then Prabhupada says in the first sentence of the purport, anyone who desires to be Krishna conscious in motherly affection or parental affection should contemplate the bodily features of Mother Yashoda.
Yes, this is recommended as described in Nectar of Devotion. In the beginning we begin by following the regulative principles, and as one advances one may come to the stage of having a particular attraction for serving Krishna in a particular mood. It may be parental, it may be fraternal, it may be conjugal, and so on. And then it's recommended that one who wishes to serve in this particular mood should remember a particular servant of Krishna in that mood, or an exemplary servant of Krishna in that mood. In the parental mood, it's especially Yashoda Mai, who's the emblematic, or what should we say, principal servant of Krishna in that mood. One shouldn't imagine that one will become Mother Yashoda or become one of the named associates in that mood. But the idea is to follow in the footsteps of those devotees. Those devotees are called ragatmika devotees, meaning that they have an attachment for serving Krishna in a particular mood. And the practitioner, it becomes a raganuga, a follower, and remembers that devotee and remembers that devotee and that devotee's service. This is not to be adopted prematurely or imitated, but in the advanced stage, one develops a natural taste for serving in a particular mood, and then it's recommended, or then not even recommended, yes, recommended. You'll get a particular taste for hearing about a particular kind of activity. But when Prabhupada heard that there were some devotees in Los Angeles who wanted to develop a particular taste for following in the footsteps of the gopis, and were therefore hearing only selected portions of Prabhupada's books related to that topic, he became furious and blasted them like anything. So it's not to be taken lightly. But in the advanced stages, these things develop. It's also not to be made a big public show. That's just another farce. Is that okay?
Yes, so how is it not to be taken lightly, how to advance in a proper way to come to this, in one sense, natural development?
It will automatically, one develops a taste for these things. A strong taste for these things. And if the spiritual master is there, one can take the guidance of the spiritual master or senior guides for how one should proceed. But not just that I'm struggling with the regulative principles and I'm imagining that I could be assisting Krishna in herding the cows, or assisting Yashoda Mai in cooking for Krishna, and so on. That's just the imaginative mind. There's a statement in Nectar of Instruction. I think the first statement in perhaps, well, let's get rid of perhaps. I don't know if I can get rid of perhaps. Okay, so in the beginning of a purport to Nectar Devotion, Nectar Instruction. Note, there it is. Text 3. Devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. Very important line. Not a matter of sentimental speculation and not imaginative ecstasy. The Sahajas specialize in imaginative ecstasy. And now I'm seeing Krishna. He just disappeared behind the bush. Now I'm following Lalita into the forest. Now blah, blah, blah. All imaginative ecstasy. There's a process in acting, in drama, where one throws oneself into the persona of the character, and essentially you become that character by hurling yourself into the role. But that's not what Srila Prabhupada is recommending for us here. Just imagine yourself to be a gopi or a cowherd boy or a senior elder of Krishna, and then imagine how ecstatic it is to see Krishna returning from the fields or something like that. No, it's not imaginative ecstasy or sentimental speculation. Its substance is practical activity. Rising in the morning, chanting 16 rounds, reading books, attending the class, cooking for Krishna, performing puja, distributing books, doing the accounts, all the practical activities, fixing the electrical circuits or whatever it might be, practical activity. That's the substance. It's devotional service. It's not just love. The goal is love. Now let me throw myself into love. Love means practical action. Prabhupada gave an example that a wife's business is to cook for the husband. So if the husband comes home at the end of the day, this is not how Prabhupada explained it, it's my explanation, but it's the same example. If the husband comes at the end of the day, is dinner ready? And the wife says, I love you so much. That's a failure. I don't want love, I want dinner. If there's love, there'll be dinner. That's practical activity, not imaginative ecstasy, dreaming of when the husband comes home or dreaming of this or that. Practical activity. If I love my husband, I'll cook, and dinner will be ready when he gets here. So, practical activity in devotional service is assisting the spiritual master in his missionary activities or in whatever he wants done. And so many other practical affairs. There's a story told by my godbrother Guru Das that Prabhupada, Guru Das was going to Vrindavan for the first time in the association of Srila Prabhupada. They were in Delhi and they were taking a car to Vrindavan, driving. And they were driving, and Guru Das was thinking, what must Srila Prabhupada be thinking about on the way to Vrindavan? Like a Krura, thinking in deep meditation on all the features and activities of Krishna. So what must Srila Prabhupada be thinking about? And what will he talk about on the drive to Vrindavan? So they're driving and Prabhupada didn't say anything. He wasn't talking about any topics. Silent. And they're driving and Guru Das is thinking in this way. And then Prabhupada said, Submit. we have to get cement. Cement, I think, in those days was a restricted commodity. You had to, go through some difficulty to get it. And we were building a temple in Vrindavan, and therefore we needed cement. So on the way to Vrindavan, that was the topic of Prabhupada's meditation, how to get cement to build the Krishna Balaram temple for Krishna. Practical activity in the service of Krishna. Is that okay? Very important line. Not imaginative ecstasy, sentimental speculation, or imaginative ecstasy. The substance is practical activity and devotional service. Anything else? Not to say that we're against thinking of Krishna's pastimes, or we can't relish hearing Krishna book or these subjects. That would be imaginative ecstasy. Of course, devotees were meant to hear these things and take transcendental pleasure in hearing.
So did I understand you right? So imagination is the problem, but hearing about Krishna, of course, is important. Reading Krishna book, and so hearing about Krishna is the proper thing, but not imagine myself prematurely in some speculation. That's
hearing and appreciating. It's not that we have to hear as a matter of duty, and we're not allowed to like it, and not allowed to relish it. It's beautiful descriptions of Krishna's form and qualities, pastimes. Certainly, we want to be attracted to these things. But the sahajas, for example, they may dress themselves as gopis and imagine themselves directly participating in Krishna's pastimes. That's not recommended. Tendency therefore they're called prakrita sahajas. Prakrita means materialistic, or Prabhupada said, called them mundane cheaps. Sahaj means easy. It's not a cheap thing. Like imagining myself a direct secretary of the Prime Minister. It doesn't work by imagination. Maybe if you serve the country and go through so many steps, you might get a high post like that. But you can't just imagine, now he's telling me to do this, now he's telling me to do that, now we're planning this, that. It's all in the head. It has no real substance. So what to speak of developing a relationship with Krishna? It depends on pleasing Krishna, pleasing the spiritual master, which we do by following the instructions of the spiritual master with great seriousness and devotion, not by just imagining, as many are inclined to do. They'll go to Radha Kunda and they'll look for a shortcut. How I can attain the higher stages without doing the hard work. It's not at all recommended. Not at all recommended. What is that? Pujala Ragapati. Gaurava Bhange. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that we'll keep these things above our heads. The Prakrita Sahajas want to jump into these things. They imagine that they're qualified and that they when they go to Vrindavan, that they're now sort of in the world where they can just express their spontaneous love for Krishna, because all of Vrindavan loves Krishna, and so they become Brajbasis and join the Vrindavan mood and they're always in ecstasy. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's practical activity and serving and pleasing the spiritual master. What is that? Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Sangota Bhajana Kriya. Step by step, not jumping. As Prabhupada said, like monkeys. Not jumping. Step by step. Srila B.R. Sridhar Maharaj once commented that if we skip one of the steps, that portion will remain hollow. And like you're building a building in India some years ago, in Bombay, I think, there was a front page news that one building had collapsed, office building or carpet, residential building, had collapsed. And when they investigated what had happened, the contractor had used a cheap grade of cement, more the cheap stuff than real stuff. And so the building had been properly designed, but because they didn't use the proper cement, it collapsed. So if we don't follow, if we try to skip over any of the stages of progressive advancement in devotional service, there'll be like a hollow portion there at any point. The foundation won't be there and things can collapse. We know people go to Radha Kund or whatever, and they become Prabhupada said, instead of purified, putrefied. Is that okay? Anything else? Yes. Madhvi.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have a question to your book. Because in your book is written that if we chant Mahamantra, it's not necessary to start with Panchatattva mantra.
Yes.
And it means then we can start with Mahamantra, so it's not necessary to chant nothing. It's not necessary to chant other mantras before Mahamantra.
Correct.
And then it's also so that Panchatattva, it's more for Kirtan. If we do Kirtan, then we have to start with Panchatattva mantra and then Mahamantra, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's sometimes where devotees are taught. When I ask in a room, it's usually anywhere from a third to half the devotees are taught that between rounds you should chant the Panchatattva mantra on the head bead. Prabhupada never gave any instruction like that. I sat in so many initiations. He never gave that instruction. There's no record that he ever gave such an instruction. The instruction was you start on the big side, Hare Krishna, go to the end, and you don't cross the head bead, you turn around and you go back. That was it. Nothing about Panchatattva mantra. And it's quoted in the book. When asked about it, Prabhupada said, yes, but that is for kirtan, and this is japa. Now, you can chant Panchatattva mantra anytime, but it's not part of the prescribed practice. Okay, should we go on to Bhagavad Gita? We let in one question that wasn't relevant to the topic, so that's a sign it's time to move on. Well, let's see. Now we're at 1800, and we began at, when did we begin? An hour ago, so it's really time to stop, and I hear there's a program nearby, so I guess what we do is stop, right? and let the next program begin. Correct? I can do half an hour. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Not sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy.